So the secularism in which which is based on the Western concept is based on the mutual exclusion. So in this mutual exclusion, neither religion or state will interfere in the matter of each other. Then you will see what is the purpose behind this strict separation. The purpose behind this strict separation of religion and politics is to safeguard the freedom of individual. Then you will see the states should neither help nor hinder the religion. This is the concept or the Western concept of secularism. Now we'll see the Indian concept of secularism and how Indian concept of secularism is different from the Western concept of secularism. There are two major differences between these two concepts. First is related to the rights of religious group. So in first one you will see that Indian constitution gives religious rights to not only individual but to communities as well. Okay, Western secularism is related to individual, not to communities. Indian secularism will provide rights, for example, right to establish educational institutes related to religion is given not only to individual but to the community itself. The second reason is that the separation in India is not based on the concept of mutual exclusion. For example, untouchability. Then there is example of aid to the educational institutes. Here, state will interfere in the religious matter but without discrimination, and so the aid is given to the educational institutes based on religion. Then we will see that there are three core features. First core feature of our constitution is individualism, where individual freedom is there. Second core feature is social justice, like in USA there is Civil Rights Act of 1964. And third core feature is of group rights. It's because India is a multicultural society. Now we'll see the fifth point, which is related to universal franchise. In simple terms, all citizens will have right to political participation via right to vote. So this is the concept of universal franchisehood in the Indian constitution. The concept of universal franchisehood was also advocated by Motilal Nehru report as back as in 1928. Then we will see another concept of federalism, in which special provisions are there for some states. For example, under Article 370, which is deleted now, which was related to Jammu and Kashmir, and Article 371 is related to Northeast, which is still at present. Because of the special privileges, the Indian federalism is asymmetric. Although Indian constitution is based on unitary biased, but unlike American federalism, which is based on symmetry, Indian federalism is based on asymmetry. And the reason for asymmetrical federalism is some units of federalism have specific needs. In order to fulfill these specific needs, special privileges has been granted to the units of federalism. For example, Article 370, which provides privileges to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Then Article 371, which provides special privileges to the Northeast state. Under this article, it provides privileges that there will be validity of the pre-existing laws in the Nagaland, so that the local identity can be protected by restricting the immigration. So this kind of some special privileges are given to the states, creating an asymmetrical federal structure. Seventh feature is of national identity. In short, the identity of an India is a national identity which is created by the Constitution of India. So this is the common identity created by the Constitution, and it is for these reasons separate electorates were removed, because it would have endangered national unity. So this concept, all we have seen, are related to substantive achievements of the Constitution. So all above features are related to substantive features of the Constitution. Now we'll see procedural achievements. First, was a view that India, since it is a multicultural society, many groups and interests were not represented in the Constituent Assembly. But if we see the debate of the Constituent Assembly was inclusive, because it tried to cover the interest of all the sections of the society. So this is one of the procedural achievement. Second, that the spirit of compromise and accommodation is there. So this is also the another achievement, but not substantive, but procedural achievement. So these are the some achievements. After having seen, now we'll see the criticisms. There are major criticisms, three criticisms. One, unwieldy, means too much large size of the Constitution. Indian Constitution is the largest written constitution of the world. Second is that the Constituent Assembly was not representative, since it was not based on adult franchisehood. Third, that the Constitution of India is borrowed, and so this constitution is alien to our condition, and there is nothing indigenous. So if you will see, first constitution, it is related to the size, and the reason is that many constitutions of other countries will not have detailed provisions to the Public Service Commission, Election Commission, but the Constitution of India do have all the detailed information, which is the reason that the Constitution of India is the largest written constitution of the world. The second criticism, that the Constituent Assembly was not elected on the concept of adult franchisehood, and it is for this reason it is not representative. So do you think Constitution India does make this kind of problem? Although Constituent Assembly was restricted and not chosen by the universal suffrage, but the Constituent Assembly had taken into consideration the interest and concerns of all the sections of the society. So this was the answer of the criticism. Then the third criticism is a final criticism, that most of the features of the Constitution of India is alien and borrowed by the article, and most of the borrowed from the Western Constitution. For example, rule of law, this India has borrowed from UK. Then parliamentary form of government has been borrowed from UK. Then the concept of fundamental rights has been taken from USS. Similarly, the ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity are taken from France. The idea of justice, social, economic and political has been taken from erstwhile USSR. So this is one of the criticism related to the institution. If we see how far this charge is true, it is true. Okay, in first chapter we have seen that the various features of the Constitution of India has been borrowed from many countries, but it is not the blind borrowing. Constitution of India is not blind borrowing, but the innovative borrowing, because we have modified this to suit the Indian culture. For example, we have adopted westernization, but not blindly adopted it. For example, this trend was started by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, and it is still date continued by Dalits, and this is the example which you can go through this. Second is that because of Western modernity, there is hybrid culture. So it is adaptation and not imitation of the Western culture. So because of amalgamation of Western and Indian traditional values, it cannot be called borrowing, but it is called selective adaptation, and it cannot be termed as borrowing. Finally, you will see that there are certain limitations. First limitation is that the Indian constitution has a centralized idea of national unity. Second limitation or another criticism, that it did not give more importance to gender justice, particularly within the family. So Constitution of India has failed to do that. The third thing is that since India was a poor developing country at the time of independence in 1947, socio-economic rights were relegated to the directive principles and rather than fundamental rights. This should have been otherwise, because directive principles are non-justiciable. So whether government will implement or not, government is under the no obligation, but it is incorrect, because there will be always be a moral obligation and a public opinion, the pressure of public opinion on the government to implement the socio-economic rights. Finally, this is the conclusion. Please go through this conclusion. Then these are some exercises. Kindly go through this. And here we are completing the complete NCERT of 11th standard. Complete NCERT has been ended. Thank you. Have a nice day.